Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for joining the SPARC Africa webinar on celebrating International Open Access Week on who owns our knowledge. So we're going to focus specifically on the African Platform for Open Scholarship and how Diamond Open Access is a vehicle to accelerate and promote African scholarship. Just to say that the session will be recorded and the videos will be uploaded onto AfLIA's YouTube channel. It should be the next day or so. And please do feel free to introduce yourself in the chat as you have been. It's great seeing all the different countries, especially within Africa. Please do introduce yourself, and then of course beyond. All the slides will be distributed to you via email, and then you'll see the Q&A chat, which allows you to post your questions, which the moderators will respond to, or myself. But I realized that I didn't quite introduce myself. My name is Jibril Claassen. I work at the University of Cape Town Libraries. I am a SPARC Africa Executive Management member, and I will be moderating today's session. With me is Dr. Richard Lamptey. I'll hand over to Richard to briefly introduce himself, because he will be also providing a function today. Thanks.
Thank you very much. Yes, my name is Richard Bruce Lamptey. I'm also a librarian at Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology, also executive member on SPARC Africa. Yeah, thank you very much. So I'll be assisting Jill in this exercise today. Thank you very much.
Thanks so much, Richard. So I think some of us may know about the African Platform for Open Scholarship, but today is really going to be a spotlight into who participates or publishes on the African Platform for Open Scholarship. But I think it's important also to know a bit about the history, the purpose, and the benefits to publishing Diamond Open Access on APOS. So you'll hear APOS, and it's the African Platform for Open Scholarship. I have a few slides. It just helps you to of course follow what I'm going to say. So I'm going to share my screen, and then we can go from there. Thanks so much. I think it's important for you to know around the origins of the African Platform for Open Scholarship. Because the University of Cape Town has a social justice open access agenda, the University of Cape Town Libraries started its publishing program and provided the publishing service to the community from about 2017 already. And from that time, it became clear that there was enough skills that the University of Cape Town Libraries had. And so they began to investigate opportunities to have this publishing platform for other African universities. And really the driver for this opportunity to investigate a publishing platform originated because there was a need for sharing and disseminating African scholarship. And a significant other driver was to grow an alternative publishing model, which is library as publisher. And we'll hear a lot more of that today. There were two significant barriers that UCT Libraries wanted to focus on when it came to developing APOS, which was to address the dearth of ICT skills on our continent, as well as the exorbitant APC charges, which prevented African researchers from publishing open access. And so UCT Libraries worked with its ICT department to develop a platform that removed those two barriers. And that's when the African Platform for Open Scholarship was developed. So we used the library as publisher service, which allowed all institutions to publish Diamond Open Access with capacity building provided by UCT Libraries. When we started these discussions with our ICT department, We also included Durban University of Technology, and they provided input when it came to this development of the platform. So it was natural that we asked them to be our first partner, so to speak, to publish on the African platform for open scholarship. And we'll hear more from Sagren about the journey of Durban University of Technology in South Africa. And then we thought, okay, so we have the Durban University of Technology. Let's look at outside South Africa. And so we looked at the University of Namibia, and some more African universities came on board. To date, we have about 11 universities which publish on the platform. And so the purpose in creating this publishing platform was to provide a publishing platform to grow and expand African scholarship so that it could be shared and disseminated to, of course, those on the continent and then globally. And this would allow African scholarship to be visible, discoverable, and accessible. So what is the infrastructure or the architecture when it comes to this platform? APOS is a Pan-African centralized open infrastructures publishing platform, and it uses open journal systems and open monograph press. It has a multi-tenant architecture, which is a design approach that allows multiple users to have access to one server with individualized instances of where backups, upgrades, and maintenance can be completed simultaneously and centrally. And this architecture is a lot like if you think of an apartment complex where there are multiple tenants with their own apartment, and yet the apartment is private and secure, but share the same foundational architecture. There are definite benefits to a centralized Pan-African publishing platform like APOS. Because of the tenant model, it allows individual institutions to showcase their own scholarship. They can focus on academic rigor, veracity, and authenticity for all the scholarship that they produce. Institutions can take pride in their scholarship that is accessible both globally and as well as across the continent, of course, and they take ownership of their own research content. Another benefit when it comes to publishing on the platform is that the publishing model is a diamond open access model. And the great thing, Fatimah, who is in the room, she will talk more about how our institution moved toward diamond open access. And so African universities can focus on developing and mentoring the next generation of researchers. And this would allow us to hear more research voices and not just the seasoned, older academics. African authors can promote their local areas of research when they publish on the African platform for open scholarship and make it meaningful for their own communities. So there's no need for them to publish in Global North journals or only focus on publishing in Global North journals, which really is where they have to publish on knowledge which would be unrelatable to their own communities. Another benefit when it comes to publishing on APOS is local languages can allow authors to focus on their research and not worry about geographic bias, where their research could be rejected just because of the language that they are publishing in. It allows the scholarship, of course, to have equitable access and African knowledge to be accelerated. And one last benefit that I'd like to inform you about is the promotion of innovation that can take place because of Library as a Publisher service, which allows for the different innovations that can take place, for example, on a mobile device. The innovations include videos, audio clips, magnification of images, and quizzes, to name a few. When I started off, I spoke about when it came to the origins, I spoke about the barriers and how capacity building is one way which we can train and develop African authors, as well as library as publisher service. And the University of Cape Town Libraries, because of its social justice, open access agenda, the scholarly communication and publishing team provide capacity building for both their own institution, but they also provide capacity building for other African institutions who want to publish on APOS. And this capacity building focuses on the editorial teams as well as academic libraries. And the training focuses on guidelines and best practices of running an African journal and what the library publishing program entails. And so the scholarly communication and publishing team use a train-the-trainer model. And especially when it comes to Anna, who's in the room, who you will hear about from the University of Namibia, as well as Josiline, where the University of Cape Town Libraries team may train the editorial team and libraries from that institution. And that then allows the institution libraries to provide the service to other editorial teams who want to publish other open access journals in the institution. And then they can also provide support to neighboring institutions in the region. So I'm going to stop there. And I hope that some of what I have indicated around the publishing platform will resonate a lot more when you hear from our presenters. So we're going to hear from the University of Namibia. We'll hear from Anna Leonard. We're going to hear from Durban University of Technology in South Africa, Sagren Moodley. We're going to hear from Dr. Josiline Chigwada from Chinhoyi University of Technology in Zimbabwe. And we're going to hear from Dr. Fatimah Abduldayan from the university, from a university in Nigeria. And first off, we're going to hear from Anna Leonard. Anna Leonard is a senior librarian at the University of Namibia. She's a senior librarian of research and scholarly communication, as well as a part-time lecturer. She's a doctoral student at the University of South Africa. Anna serves on many committees, both nationally and internationally, as well as serving on the SPARC Africa Executive Management Team. Her research interest is centered around research evaluations, scholarly communication, open science, open access, digital scholarship, and digital and science communication. Welcome, Anna. I'll hand over to you.
All right. Thank you very much for the introduction. I am presenting on the success stories of the University of Namibia and Namibia as a whole, looking at APOS. And my topic is APOS using Ushindaism practices for success in Diamond Open Access. Ushindaism is a concept, it's an Oshivambo word, which means neighborliness, where neighbors or traditionally neighbors help each other and support each other throughout the different spheres of life, including the aspect of supporting in terms of wealth, health, and welfare. So the question is, why Diamond Open Access? And before I touch on that specific one, I wanted to give a brief background of UNAM in terms of journal publishing. So we started long way back, I think it was around 2012, where we had different journals, but they were publishing as print. And then we had budgetary costs, so they were not able to print those journals. So we were then forced to put these journals into the institutional repositories, and then other institutions started to complain that we are claiming their research output in our own institutional repository. So that is now how we started to now think about now going through the route of seeking support from other institutions, and we get to connect with UCT through the quality assurance evaluations that was done at the university. But why Diamond Open Access Publishing? Traditionally, African knowledge have been viewed as an open asset, as a public knowledge, and usually shared through oral traditions where people always come together and share knowledge, and considering the level of knowledge and to whom it should be shared. So that is actually from the traditional perspective, which aligns with the now emerging practice of Diamond Open Access Publishing. So when we joined APOS, I think 2019, our academic interests were more interested in Diamond Open Access Publishing. And the other institutions started to come on board really to also seek support. So UNAM now have 5 journals that are also part of APOS, and then NAST has 3. And then we have other 2 institutions that also have journals, part of the Diamond Open Access or through African Platform for Open Scholarship. But these are not the only journals. So overall, there are other 15 open access journals, but not part, the others are not part of APOS. So through this partnership, we have conducted several trainings with UCT, and librarians, journal editors were trained. And from that perspective, UNAM was trained enough also to be able to support other institutions. But because of the technical challenges and differences into the institutional technical requirement, so we were not able to fully support the National Commission, but we then try to bring them on board so that they go through APOS, which they have kind of disagreed at the start. So we also helped the International University of Management when they were establishing their own journals, which is also not part of APOS, but we are still discussing with them to see if they can come on board. In addition to that, because of the knowledge that we get in the process through engaging with UCT and several regional training that we had, so we were able to, as a country, to work on a research output and journal accreditation framework. And the University of Cape Town actually was given an opportunity to help us in reviewing that framework. So it is really now at the last stage of final approval. And at the university level, UNAM also have developed the UNAM Journal Establishment and Hosting Policy that would guide our journal editors. Ushindelism practices. So we found this, although UNAM APOS is practicing under the concept of open knowledge and open scholarship, so it is also aligning with the African tradition of really being able to help each other, that you always have somebody to lean on whenever you have a challenge. That's why we are speaking of shared experiences and capacity building that UNAM and Namibia, as well as other countries that have benefited from APOS. So from the 5 UNAM journals that we have, these are the published output. with the Journal for Studies in Humanities and Social Sciences having the highest output. And I wanted to look at the decline, really just to emphasize that, you know, as African publishers, our aim is not really to compete for breakthrough science or for global outstanding research, but we are aiming to help each other or to build capacity. So in our review process, we try as much as possible to help and guide the researcher until they are able to bring the manuscript at the publishing standards. So which is where you can see we would have really less number of declined publications. So in terms of usage, you can see that we have high downloads of those articles, especially in the Journal for Language Center and the Journal for Humanities. And when we are looking at who are the people publishing in our platform, of course, Namibians comes on top. But you can see that especially for Julius, you can see other countries like Botswana, Lesotho, Tanzania, mostly Nigeria and Zimbabwe also coming forth. And that is because of the multilingualism that Julius allows African researchers to publish in their own indigenous languages. We have actually Shona, people that are publishing in Shona or Shivambo language and other Kiswahili. Actually, we have papers that are written in those languages. So I wanted to take you slightly to some of the key papers that I decided to outline. So the Ushindalism was looking at the neighborhood or the neighborliness as a collective poverty elevations, where traditionally, if a neighbor has nothing to eat, so you have to give them. And if you are cultivating and you are finished with your field, so you have to go help the neighbor, not necessarily to develop dependency, but to uplift each other. And that is what that paper is trying to look at, the Ushindalism as a concept of collective elevation of poverty. And the other paper that actually catched my interest is the one of reviewing the English as a sole official languages. And this one is looking at communicating developmental goals and agenda and political agendas into indigenous knowledge so that people are at the same page and are able to come forth and support the developmental initiatives. Same with the Namibian multilingualism and sustainable development. So these are issues that cannot possibly be published in global North publications. And some of these, the Ushindaism and the Omikaro, Omikuruno, Mipetho, Kuyunga, Osa, some of these papers are in our own indigenous languages. So in addition to the relevance of the papers to the local issues. So we still have challenges of high rankings, of competition, and really chasing the rankings and indexing against the local relevance of our own scholarship, and over-dependence on Western research performance, where it creates a situation where local researchers are not really willing to publish in local journals because these journals are not favored for promotional purpose in most institutions. And also there is limited support for these journals. That's why we are trying now to get our policy approved, pending Senate approval now. So the misconceptions against these local journals is actually the serious challenge that we are now fighting, and we can only manage to fight that when we fight to actually have the policies developed at a national level. So we ask just that we need to do more advocacy and awareness campaigns, and actually for Diamond Open Access publishing to go further, we need government and research institutions to invest in such initiatives. And we need to decolonize the evaluation of science in Africa so that we look at the relevance and the local impact of the research, as well as the need to develop national open science policy and research evaluation policies that are aligned to our context. So from that, we have seen that Diamond Open Access actually provide a platform for African researchers to really address African challenges. And we have seen this from the key papers that I have presented from the Namibian perspectives. And only through that, we are able to promote equality and inclusivity for all, that everybody will have access to this knowledge. So that's why we are advocating for open access, and we are advocating for us to own our scholarship and reclaim our voices through Diamond Open Access publishing. So that was the case of the UNAM and Namibia. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Anna. Thank you so much for the informative presentation around what is taking place at the University of Namibia. It was wonderful to look at the statistics and see how your journals are doing on APOS, as well as your title when you focus on reclaiming your silence, the silent voices. Thank you for that, Anna. And then just to get a status updated as to policies at your institution, and then speak about the challenges, because there are challenges, but that does not mean that we can't accelerate African scholarship, and we can reclaim what is ours. So I thank you so much for that. As we hand over to our next presenter, Mr. Sagren Moodley is an advocate for open access and open scholarship at the Durban University of Technology in South Africa. And they were the first institution to come on to use the open infrastructure. Sagren leads the strategic initiatives to strengthen institutional repositories. So he is the lead for the strategic initiatives to strengthen institutional repositories, open source systems, and library publishing, promoting inclusive, transparent, and sustainable approaches to scholarly communication. I'll hand over to Sagren. Welcome.
Let me just share my screen quickly. All right. Good afternoon, everybody. Well, good day to some people, and good afternoon to everybody. It's a real pleasure to be here today. All right.
Yes.
So good afternoon, everybody, and it's a pleasure to be here today. I'd like to begin by thanking SPARC Africa for inviting me to be part of this really important discussion, I think, and knowledge-sharing event. Already learned so much from Anna's presentation already. I think firstly, I want to acknowledge and appreciate the incredible dedication and hard work that both the colleagues at UCT have put into APOS. I think both the library and the ICT departments. We had the pleasure of working with both the library and meeting the ICT department in the early stages of APOS. And obviously, as Jill said earlier on, we did have some input into developing the platform. So thank you so much, colleagues at UCT. So I think through APOS now we have somewhat of a stable, sustainable, and scalable vehicle to drive open access publishing in South Africa. So I think before I speak specifically about DUT's involvement in APOS, which started sometime, I think, in 2019, I thought I'd share a little bit about our journey, our own open access journey to this point. And at DUT Library, we've got a long history in driving open access, specifically to moving DUT from somewhat a closed access, especially for research publications, to where open access is slowly becoming the default mode for scholarly communication. So this commitment kind of dates back to 2008, when we began leading campaigns to promote open access, open source, and open educational resources. So our strategy really was not to go out alone. In the library world, libraries kind of lead a lot of things on their own and are able to, but at that point, we collaborated with many strategic partners, including the research division, our ICT partners, and obviously faculty, and we brought them along with this journey. So I think a catalyst for our growth into open access has been the institutional repository and the strides we've made through that. And the other important catalyst, obviously, has been policies. And policies are important to guide the university. So through early adoption of open access policies, I think as far as 2013 or 2014, we've made great strides in changing mindsets and encouraging uptake within the university, more so in research publications, not so much through open access publishing. But I think a game changer for us in 2013 is when DUT became one of the early signatories to the Berlin Declaration of Open Access. And I think what that meant for the institution, apart from increasing awareness, was we committed to institutionalize open access as a standard for scholarly outputs at the university. So since then, open access has become deeply integrated in both to the library strategy and is aligned to DUT's Envision 2030 strategic intent. And that intent kind of encourages our people at DUT to participate productively in our region, in our country, and the world by leveraging new knowledge and solutions for societal impact. So open access and open access publishing is featured prominently in the strategy for 2023 to 2030. So I'll move into open access publishing. We see it as part of a natural progression. I think we've already had the infrastructure. We developed certain expertise internally, and we, through the organization of the library structure, we created a digital services unit to start off an open access publishing service, amongst other, obviously, open access initiatives. So in the past few years, we've developed a small collection of open access books, and some of these books have been authored by our students. So obviously, one of the key challenges that we've had at DUT, especially with respect to as a library as a publisher model, is that uptake has been slow. And one of the main challenges we continue to face is confidence in the library as a publisher model. So we get a lot of questions around why should we publish with you? Is it DET accredited? So our journey is still a long journey. We've still got to make, but we've still got a long way to go. And up until now, there's been no real clear university mandate around it. So how did we transition to APOS? And I think that's an important part to say, how did we get to this point? In 2019, we were served a boon, I think, where we had the opportunity to host DUT's first open access journal. And at the time, it was the Diamond Open Access Journal through the library publishing service. So we had several options available. We had the technical expertise to create an OGS instantly, quite easily. We had access to servers, etc. So it would have been an easy thing for us. However, we were drawn to the African Continental Platform. And obviously, we have close relationships with UCT colleagues. And we really bought into the African Continental Platform, as it was known at that time. So obviously, as the library, the decision to host on the platform was not easy. So we had some convincing to do, lots of stakeholders, including the research office, that APOS wasn't just about hosting. It wasn't about just infrastructure sitting somewhere. It was about transforming our institutions. It was about building internal capacity, and it was about advancing social justice through an inclusive, equitable, and sustainable publishing platform. So essentially, the message was clear, or the messaging was clear. We needed to walk the talk about open access if we're serious about it. So after engaging with the UCT team, we became one of the first institutions to join APOS. And as I mentioned earlier on, we did give some input into how the tenant model would work. Our journal went online almost immediately, thanks to the efficient and expert support from the UCT team. And I can say, just looking back at the journal, I'll maybe share some data later. The results were remarkable for the one journal that we hosted. It went from publishing 10 articles per year to in the first year, and then to around 60 articles by year 5. And this has really opened up publishing on the African continent, because a lot of the articles that were published on this journal came from the African continent. So it opened up another avenue for publishing. And this journal actually achieved its DET accreditation with DO and was included in DOAJ in a very short space of time. So the reason I'm not sharing too much about this journal is because, unfortunately, the journal later transitioned to an APC model, and I explored a number of alternate funding alternatives with them, and unfortunately, the editors decided to move the journal from APOS. On a positive note, though, that we've had several engagements with other departments who have expressed interest in launching new OA journals. Some of these, I think, we've just put on hold. And I think in the next month or two, we'll pick up negotiations with them when new developments do come in. So, but I'm proud to announce that we've just signed up a new Diamond Open Access journal. It's called the Journal of Public Management and International Relations. We've spent, I think, about the past month or month and a half working with UCT to get this journal out, and we should get a call for papers out soon. So I must add, colleagues, that I had a frank conversation with the journal editors about the vision and the principles around open access and the Diamond Open Access publishing. So our current model is based on the kind of support that we have built within the library. So the departments kind of manage the journals, while the library kind of provides training, technical support, and serves as the main liaison with APOS. So in comes the DUT Press. So the press has provided us with a new opportunity to grow open access publishing, including Diamond Open Access publishing with purpose and impact. And the press will be operational by 2026. It will be managed by the DUT library. It's actually quite significant entity within the university. It will have a director and a number of new posts, obviously dedicated roles to strengthen and accelerate open access publishing, including Diamond Open Access publishing. So I think importantly for us and for the Diamond Open Access movement, the DUT Press, it goes beyond trend setting. It's rooted in principles of open science and social justice, aiming to open up our university's research output and obviously for greater societal impact. And our publishing model will prioritize open access as the default. And finally, what are some of the benefits we've seen of just having one journal so far on APOS? But these are not only benefits for us, but both for other emerging and established OA publishing programs. And I think Jill mentioned some of it in her introduction, but ICT issues in higher education is real. The struggle is real when it comes to ICT. Sometimes getting our institutions to even put up a survey is quite difficult. APOS provides that infrastructure. APOS provides sort of a turnkey application for institutions wanting to host on APOS. We don't have to do any administrative tasks beyond the application itself. All systems operations are taken care of, including installation, upgrades, security, backup, and obviously disaster recovery. The second point is obviously, I mentioned already, is we have a dedicated team at UCT or at APOS. We'll take you through from hosting to editorial setup to production. And importantly, they have a train-the-trainer approach. or as we say at TUT, we lift as you rise. So there are institutions that benefit from the training or benefit from hosting within APOS can support others in their regions and in other parts of the world. And finally, obviously, visibility and accessibility. And I've shared some slides now on downloads and visibility within Africa. We also get exposure. Our journals are listed alongside other journals in the APOS portfolio. And our own journal, the journal that I mentioned earlier on, was highly successful due to APOS's reach and visibility. So I think in closing, I just want to say, even though the DUT is moving into a pressed environment, we're fully committed to growing APOS and being part of the African platform. Once the press is fully implemented in January next year, obviously we'll have directions in terms of which journals will be fully Diamond Open Access and other journals may not be. So we're a little bit away from those discussions. I suppose once we make our appointments, we'll kind of brief people in terms of where the press, what are the vision and the principles of the press. And I think APOS is more than a platform, colleagues. I'm going to stress that it's a movement towards equitable, sustainable, and inclusive knowledge creation and dissemination in Africa. And it needs the support of more institutions in South Africa and Africa for it to achieve its goals. Thank you, Joe. Maybe I should just share a slide, Joe, quickly.
Sure.
If I can just show you the downloads, if you look at the visibility and impact. If you look at the downloads since the journal went online, I'm just showing 2023 to 2025. You can see the significant downloads, and a lot of the traffic comes from Africa and other parts of the world. Thank you so much, Joe. Thanks, colleagues.
Oh, that's amazing, Sagren. How wonderful. Thank you so much for your presentation, for so much insight into your unique institution. Of course, every institution is unique, but to allow us to get to know the history of open access within your institution, which was great, and the positioning of where open access is, and a very real points about the role of the library. And of course, we are pushing library as publisher and the importance of it when it comes to publishing African scholarship. And you have shown through what you shared that whilst the library may need to prove, so to speak, what they are able to do through the skills they provide, you let us know through the university's press that's coming into the library. It shows confidence, and that is amazing. UCT also has an institutional, a library's press, as well as a university press within the library. So it's wonderful to see how your institution is going the same way around Diamond Open Access Publishing. Thanks again, Sagren.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. We're going to move on to Dr. Josiline Chigwada. I just want to say thank you to Josiline. She is at a writer's retreat this whole week. So she stepped out of that event to come to us. Josiline is a C2 NRF rate and an open science advocate, like all of us here. She has 18 years of experience in academic librarianship. She holds a doctorate and a postgraduate diploma in higher education. Josiline is a member of the board of directors for NDLTD, the Zimbabwe University Libraries Consortia, AfLIA Open Access Coordinator, and she's a fellow member of the SPARC Africa Management Committee. Josiline is the Zimbabwe Local Network Lead of the African Reproducible Research and the Regional Coordinator for Southern Africa. Welcome, Josiline. It's really lovely to have you.
Thank you so much, Jill. Good afternoon. Can you confirm if you can see my screen?
I can, and it's in presenter mode. Thank you, Josiline.
Thank you so much. It's a pleasure to be part of this program as I present our journey as Chinhoyi University of Technology in publishing Diamond Open Access on APOS. So every time I present about APOS, I am happy to start by presenting the countries that are currently available on APOS. So currently there are only 5, unfortunately, countries that are available, and I'm happy my own country is there and my own institution is there as well. So I'll just give a brief history of how I've managed to learn about APOS. In 2019, thanks to the UCT team, I attended the SPARC Africa Summit, Open Access Summit, that was done in Cape Town. And during that summit, I attended an OJS workshop, which was facilitated by PKP. And soon after that, that's when I heard about the African Platform for Open Scholarship. And luckily enough, when I went back, my supervisor then allowed me to implement what I've learned from that summit. I thank her for that. And during that time, we had 2 journals, one which was only in print and another one, it was on Agile. So that one, we couldn't move it, but the one that was in print is the one that we moved to the open to APOS. And I was happy because the project was a success, and there was support from the editor-in-chief and other editorial board members of that journal. And then I moved to another job in 2020, and I introduced APOS to that institution where I am currently right now, and I'm happy to share with you what we have done so far within APOS. So why is it that we opted for APOS as Chinhoyi University of Technology? This journey was a collective one. It was a collective decision whereby we involved every stakeholder that is part of the publication process. We involved the library, we involved the ICT office, we involved the research office, we involved university management, we involved the researchers as well. And at the end, we managed to reach a conclusion that no, the best way to ensure that we are visible as an institution, our journal is known out there so that we'll be able to publish, was to move to APOS. Before that, the journals were only in print. And we also managed to find out that the issue of availability 24/7 when we publish using the APOS platform is a plus for us. We deal with power outages, we deal with internet connectivity challenges, we deal with the lack of the infrastructure. We don't have powerful servers that will enable us to host the journals, and the issue of technical expertise as well. So as a result, we agreed that using the APOS platform was the best. Now the journey so far. After we have introduced the APOS platform, the university management gave the library a mandate to host all the journals. And in line with that, we managed to establish the CAT Library Press. So that press now is responsible for the publications of journals, is also responsible for the publication of books. So currently we have 4 Diamond Open Access journals, and space was created also for us for publishing open access books. And this created opportunities for us as an institution and as a library to win grants that we've used to develop and enhance open access within our institution. The first one was the DataCite grant, which was dealing with persistent identifiers. We won it last year, and this year we managed to win the Open Book Collective grant, which we are using to enhance the publication of open access books at Chinhoyi University of Technology. So now, remember I said that we now have 4 journals. So this journal is the first one, the Journal of Technological Sciences. Before we migrated to APOS, it was only in print. And we managed to establish 2 journals this year. The Journal of Management Sciences, Innovation and Technology, and this one was already there also in print only, the Annals of Social and Behavioral Sciences Journal. And the other new baby is the Journal of Cultural Heritage and Development. So currently we have 4 Diamond Open Access journals on APOS, and we don't have challenges in running the platform. And this is a screenshot of our Open Monograph Press. Currently, it's empty because it's a new baby on the block, and we have 6 manuscripts that are under review, and very soon they will be able to be published if they pass the peer review process. So now, what are the benefits that we have managed to enjoy by using the APOS platform? In terms of infrastructure, we have managed to get enough sleep as publishers, because we don't need to worry about the issue of a powerful server. We don't need to worry about the issue of power outages. We don't need to worry about the issue of connectivity challenges, the issue of maintenance. All those things are being taken care of from the institution that is hosting the platform. And then the issue of technical skills as well. We don't need to worry about the issue of how to deal with those back-end issues that we need to do in order to make our journals functional. The issue of troubleshooting, the guys are very amazing. They are always available to assist us. And then the issue of capacity building, just like the previous speakers have said, there is the trainers whereby the team from the UCT libraries offer amazing services in capacity building us as librarians in running those journals, and also in ensuring that the authors as well and the reviewers as well know the processes from account creation up to archiving. And I'm happy about that, and I should thank the UCT library team for that. And then the issue of ownership. If you look at this slide, you can see that the look and feel of the journal is cut. There is nowhere where it's representing where the host is. No, the look and feel of the journals on the platform is about your institution. As Chinhoyi University of Technology, we are very happy because we know that everything that we are doing on the platform belongs to us. It reminds me of a theme for this year: who owns the knowledge? It means that as CAT, we are owning the knowledge that we are creating, meaning is very key. We have benefited a lot from this platform because the look and feel of that is CAT. No one knows that it's being hosted somewhere else because everything is just CAT. Now, the milestones that we have managed to reach after using the APOS platform, we've managed to meet the Zimbabwe Council for Higher Education requirements for accrediting journals. We are now online. Our journals are always available, and we are happy about that. Now, the issue of visibility. This one, I can't talk about it enough. The previous presenters have articulated well on the issue of visibility. Our journals now are now visible because they are now online. And then the increased impact of the research output of the researchers that are publishing with us, the more citations, more downloads, more views, and these journals are being, the articles are being used to solve the problems that are being researched about within our institution and also from other institutions who are publishing with us. And then now we are happy that we are now working towards DOAJ accreditation, and this has been made possible by the APOS platform and the UCT libraries team that is always there to assist us. The challenges. These challenges are from the institution. Whenever you are introducing something new, be prepared of resistance to change. You know, people were used to their own way of doing things. They were used to receiving emails from researchers and then communicating with them on email. Now we are introducing an automated publication workflow. There was some resistance. Some editor-in-chief were not comfortable. Some even said, we were born before computers. So why are you troubling us now so that we can migrate and use a platform? So now this is what I'm just telling to others who might be maybe trying to introduce something, maybe to move to APOS while they were maybe mainly print. Be prepared for that. Some people will fight you, but a victory is certain at the end. So some editors-in-chief try to resist. Some researchers as well try to resist, but through advocacy, we managed to make a breakthrough. Always market the services, always talk about the services. At the end, people will know the benefits and walk the road with you. And then in terms of the key takeaways from this whole process of using the APOS platform, we've managed to find out that capacity building is key. People should have the skills, from the researcher, the editor, the reviewers. All those people should be trained in order to be able to have a smooth run of the automated publication workflow. And then advocacy is key. If you don't advocate for this service, people will not support you. You need support for you to be able to be successful. And the issue of a stakeholder approach, this one was very, very good to us. Why? Because everyone was involved from the word go, and people embraced the change, and they were happy that our journals were now online. And then the issue of enabling policies, the policies should be available so that you'll be able to move towards achieving the goal that you have set for you. And personally, I always talk about the platform in different fora, be it at my institution, or maybe whenever I'm attending a webinar about open access, or when I'm attending a conference, I always talk about APOS because it has been good to me as an individual, and it has been good to my institution as CAT, and it has been good to my country as Zimbabwe, and it has been good to my continent as Africa. With that, I thank you.
Thank you so much, Josiline. I think just like Anna and Sagren, you've given me goosebumps, and I'm sure everyone else in the room, just allowing us to take us on the journey within Zimbabwe. Thank you for giving us a deep dive into open access and the different institutions you were at. You still focused on how open access can benefit both the institution and then, of course, the continent. Thanks for letting us know that it's collaboration of different role players within an institution that assists the buy-in, that assists the rollout of Diamond Open Access Publishing. I think it was important for us to hear around the collaboration. And then, of course, to be realistic around something that's new when it comes to library publishing and libraries publishing institutions, scholarship. You focused on the challenges, and yet you ended off with the advocacy part and how through constantly publishing the scholarship within your institution, you provide the evidence that they can have confidence in publishing even more African scholarship. Thanks so much, Josiline, and we hope you'll still stay with us. We're going to move on to Dr. Fatimah, Jibril, Abduldayan. Sorry, Fatimah, I'm not doing a great job of your surname. Apologies for that. Fatimah is a leading advocate for open science, research, data management, and gender and development in Nigeria. As the team lead for LipSense Nigeria, she champions open science practices and drives nationwide capacity building efforts across academic institutions. So, of course, I can go on about Fatimah, but I just want to give a small story about Fatimah. We met Fatimah in, I think it was 2023, at an AfLIA post-conference open access publishing workshop. Dr. Reggie Raju oversaw that workshop with us. After we had the workshop, Fatimah was convinced that her institution needed to be part of APOS. They should publish on it. So she drove 16 hours to get all the academics together and oversaw a 2-day workshop at that institution because she felt so passionate about Diamond Open Access. Fatimah has a long list of other accomplishments, but currently, besides being an academic, she currently is the university librarian for Nigeria Maritime University, Delta State. I'll hand over to you, Fatimah, who will focus on the journey toward Diamond Open Access. Thanks.
Thank you so much, Jill. Can we all hear me? And can you see my slides?
Yes. Thanks.
Okay, good. All right. Thank you, Jill. My name is Fatimah Jibril Abduldayan. I'm the team lead for LipSense Nigeria, and we are going to share our experience with you, how we are moving the Nigerian Journal of Educational Studies and Research, INJESA, the Journal of the Kwara State College of Education, URO, moving towards Diamond Open Access Publishing. And I have some of the editorial board members here, the college librarian of the Kwara State College of Education, URO, and the chairman of INJESA board is on this call, Mr. Haruna Abduldayan. I also have the editor, production, Dr. A.A. Adewuyi on the call, and Dr. G.A. Adeoye, the public relations and secretary for INJESA. And the title of our presentation is Diamond Gateway, Transitioning the Kwara State COE Oral Journal to the APOS Open Access model. I am really excited, listening to the last presenter from Zimbabwe. I admire her energy, her push towards ensuring that they've been able to onboard, I think about 3 or 4 journals on the APOS. We hope to get there someday. But then we'll still share our efforts with you, especially with regards to INJESA. Now, let me give you a brief background of INJESA. INJESA is the Nigerian Journal of Education Studies and Research. It's an interdisciplinary journal, and it was established, or they had their first publication, the first edition was published in 1985. Okay, by Atoto Press Limited, that's a local publisher in Kwara State. And the publication is once in a year, and the latest publication is in July 2024. That's a volume 17, number 1. And it's always been in print. And then their articles undergo a double-blind review process. They do grammar check and plagiarism checks before articles are finally published. Then a token is paid as a review fee by authors, and then the reviewers also get kind of an appreciation for reviewing the articles. But currently, all charges are waived with the intention of adopting the Diamond Open Access Publishing. And then for the print part, which is actually part of the requirement for us in Nigeria, especially for accreditation, the print publication part of it is now being supported by TETFund. TETFund is a national research foundation, the fund that supports researchers in Nigeria. We call it TETFund. And they support printing of 3,000 hard copies, which they are expected to share as complimentary copies and also for distribution free of charge. So these are some of the publications from INJESA from their inception till date. Now, the leadership, the governance structure around INJESA, before now, they had just about 4-man editorial board with a chairman, a secretary, and a member. But recently, there is now a change of leadership where they now have a reconstitution of the editorial board member. And in addition to that, they have a diversity in the editorial board member that incorporates people from different parts of Africa and even beyond Africa. But then there are challenges with the print publications that INJESA had been running since 1985 till now. And some of these challenges, interestingly, they are not too different from what the previous presenter from Zimbabwe shared. I was smiling when I was listening to her. That I think this is more of an African thing in quote. So the challenges with the print copy is, one, there's limited accessibility and circulation. Of course, it is clear whatever is in print copy, it's automatically limited in terms of accessibility beyond the geographical space. And then there's also the high risk of loss of document and then damage and deterioration of printed materials. If you visit some of the warehouse where they deposit the 3,000 copies, you find some of them still lying fallow, because getting them to the intended users, the readers, is really challenging. And then there's also the high cost of printing, and then the physical storage, time-consuming editorial and review process, and poor visibility and limited academic impact. And this is not surprising because the people are not really getting access to the knowledge that is shared when it is in print, and then difficulty in record retrieval and management, and most importantly is maintaining the website. And this was one of the reasons that caught my attention initially when I heard about the APOS platform and the wonderful things that they are doing there. In JSAT, they had the problem of maintaining their website. Today, the website is down, tomorrow it is up. And then the domain renewal, takes a lot of money, and then there are other related technical infrastructure. Now, how did I get to know about the APOS? I need to share this story quickly, although Jill already shared some of it, but I must acknowledge the effort of AfLIA, SPARC, and UCT towards ensuring that they train librarians as advocates of Diamond Open Access Publishing and to reposition the library as a publisher. It's a big thing because now we get to tell our stories, the way we want it to be, and we get to own our knowledge and then take off the problem of infrastructure, the funding thing, and further close the digital divide, between knowledge equity, especially when you compare what is happening in the global north and in the global south, a lot of issues. So my attendance at the 2-day post-conference workshop on library publishing, sponsored by AfLIA and SPARC in 2003, that was my first time. That was the first time of hearing about APOS. And then we had a training workshop that was facilitated by Reggie, Jill, and the team from UCT. And it was after that I decided to take this advocacy thing seriously, especially around the Diamond Open Access publishing space. And one of the advocacy efforts that I've been doing, I listed some of them here. Like I mentioned, I'm the team lead for LibSense Nigeria. LibSense Nigeria is a group of early career researchers from different institutions in Nigeria. And what we do is to promote the adoption of open access practices on our various campuses. And another advocacy effort was around the grants that we won by Open Book Collective, which I know Zimbabwe also won it the second round. We got the first round of that grant, and it's all about promoting open access book publishing in Nigeria. And then my role as the trade manager at the Academic Publishing Center, Fatimah, we were able to win the grant. And then we had a capstone open access summit just last month at the National Open University in Nigeria, where we were able to showcase completed open access book that was published on a platform called Book Hub. But the essence basically is to further promote Diamond Open Access book publishing in Nigeria. And then the third effort is about this INJESA and how I've been able to help the College of Education, Oro, to transition into Diamond Open Access publishing. And lastly is the Nigerian Journal of Technological Research. That is the institutional-based journal of Fatimah. I'm privileged to be on the editorial board. And before I joined, INJESA is not open access. Okay, they charge fees. You pay to publish, and then people still, readers pay to read articles on the platform. I think they charge about certain amount of money in dollar. But then after the training I had in Ghana and my understanding of Diamond Open Access publishing, I was able to reposition and redirect our efforts towards embracing Diamond Open Access publishing. And interestingly, just 2 months ago, we released a flyer announcing that we are now publishing Diamond Open Access. And we are about to release the very first edition, publishing Diamond Open Access. So that would give us a very good visibility, especially for articles in that journal, because now you don't have to pay to download articles, and the researchers get to publish free of charge. Now, going back to transitioning INJESA to APOS, the first thing we did was get an approval from the college management. And this was supported with a signed consent form that supported the immediate transition into Diamond Open Access on the APOS platform. And then we've had a series of training and support sessions by the wonderful UCT team And the training was organized for Ingesa Editorial Board, and it was led by Claassen, Leonard, and a host of others. And then, although the early stages were marked by difficulties, especially in adjusting to the new platform, onboarding the editorial board members to OJS platform and understanding the settings, the ownership, the branding, and then a whole of other things, around using the APOS. But then with the constant training support sessions by the UCT team, it's been really, really helpful. And then we've also been able to meet up with the requirement for onboarding on the continental platform, especially around the composition of editorial board. Before now, the editorial board was not diversified. But then one of the requirements for onboarding your journal on APOS is the diversity of your editorial board member. And then some other requirements like getting an EISSN, your peer review process must be clear, and then you must be able to state categorically that you're running Diamond Open Access and all that. So the college have been able to meet up with some of these things. And Ingesa, soon, we are hoping that by the end of this correct academic session, that we'll be able to launch our journal on the APOS Continental platform. So what are the next steps for us at Kwara State College of Education? Number one is to conclude the onboarding training sessions with the UCT team, which were already at the advanced stage, and then launch the Ingesa Diamond Open Access Publishing on the APOS platform. In fact, I must say, and I'm sure the editorial board members on this call will confirm, that a lot of authors are already showing interest, to publish on that platform. Okay, and then the third next step for us at Ingesa is we want to continue to support the Diamond Open Access publishing advocacy in Nigeria, because currently on the APOS platform, we have just one Nigerian journal, and it is from the National Agency for Biotechnology or something. That's the only journal from Nigeria. So the Kwara State College of Education journal, they hope to be the very first journal that would be an institutional-based journal, the first one that will be onboarded on the APOS, and they hope to get this done in the last quarter and use it to celebrate the end of the year, achievements by the college. So thank you very much. I'll leave you with my contact here and links to some of the advocacy efforts that I've mentioned. All is carefully curated on the LipSense website, LipSense Nigeria. And you can also visit the Kwara State College of Education Oro website. It's there. And the Nigerian Journal of Technological Research that are just going Diamond Open Access, their website is also included for further information. Thank you very much for listening. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Fatimah. Thanks for allowing us to be in the room of your institution, so to speak. Thank you for taking us on the journey to show us that to get to Diamond Open Access Publishing, where it's free to the reader and free to the author, and publishers don't recoup money for printing, for example. Thank you for showing us that through advocacy and education that it is possible, that other institutions can also get to where your institution is, which I'm sure in the next month or so, with the assistance of the Scholarly Communication and Publishing team at UCT, your institution will also be visible on APOS. So thank you for allowing us to share in your journey. We don't have many questions, but I would like to reiterate some questions, repeat them even though they have been asked. I think it's what we're all thinking about, and it would be good for everyone to hear. Anna's responded to them, but I'm going to ask our other librarians and in the room, so our other panelists also to assist. The question that Sakile is asking, which I think it's a great one: how do you maintain the balance between open access and Diamond Open Access specifically, and academic excellence. So I'm going to ask all our panelists to contribute to that question. It's a good one. We get it all the time at our institutions. So I'm going to ask Sagren, if you would start, Sagren, your take on the balance between Diamond Open Access and academic excellence at your institution. Sagren, you still with us? Great.
Yeah, I think I'm just going to reiterate what Anna has said. I think she's actually captured it quite nicely, in that Diamond Open Access doesn't mean poor quality or lower quality than any other form of publishing. And I think the setup of the editorial boards or guidelines or guiding our institutions into the setting up of editorial boards is important. And I think that's part of the training that's covered by UCT, your scholarly communication team. So for me, that's quite essential to ensure that the quality is maintained for these journals. Yeah, I think for me, through advocacy, we can ensure that the journals are of the high quality that we want them to be. So I think that's, yeah, I think Anna's also, she's talked about, it's not about citations or impact factors. It's about really maintaining excellence to our standards that we set for our institutions. Thank you, Joe.
Thanks, Sagren. Josiline, and then Fatimah and Anna, if you want to add anything after that. Josiline?
Hey, thank you, Jill. Yeah, just to reiterate that when we publish Diamond Open Access, it doesn't mean that we are changing anything of the publishing process.
Yeah.
The process is the same. Reviewers do their job, editor-in-chief do his job, and then finally, when it is acceptable, that's when it is published. What is the difference here is just that we are not dealing about APCs. We are not dealing about any charge. It's free to the author, it's free to the reader. That's the only difference. But the publication process is the same. Thank you.
Fatimah and then Anna. And then Reggie after
Okay.
that. Reggie, you can speak after Anna.
All right. Okay. Thank you so much. For me, I think open access publishing, especially Diamond Open Access, the fact that it allows authors to hold on to their copyright, you know, it's a big thing for me, because compared with how you publish in commercial platforms, the first thing they take away from you is your copyright. But in open access, you still own your copyright. And the fact that your work is open does not mean that someone will steal that right from you or use it without your permission, because there's another layer of permission that you get to invoke on your work that is open, which is known as the Creative Commons licenses. So you get to tell people how they interact or reuse your work. So I see that embracing open access publishing gives you this freedom to dictate how your work is being used, compared to publishing in a commercial open access, I mean, in commercial platforms, where that right is simply taken away from you. And because you don't have the fund and you really want to publish, you just cede your copyright to them with nothing, you know, coming back to you. Yeah.
Anna, do you want to add anything else?
No, Jill, I think the colleagues actually also just highlighted most important issues, please.
Thanks, Anna. Reggie, Raju, are you able to unmute your mic? I'm hoping.
No, Jill, I think I'm fine. Look, what I want to share is the fact that, and I think this is what Josiline had already said, and that is the publishing process still resides with the academy. So whether you're publishing with Elsevier or you're publishing via your library, it is the academy that does all of the work. All that these publishers do is distribute. And that's something that we need to get right. It is not the publishers that do the academic component. It is the academy that does it. So why are we questioning this particular process when the academy is doing the exact same thing that the big publishers are doing? That was my response, Jill. Thanks.
Thanks, Reggie. And when it comes to Diamond Open Access and quality of publishing, the great thing is that there are some journals who are available in the directory of open access journals, and you know that there's a criteria and they have adhered to it, and because of that, it's included in the directory of open access journals, which you know, it's included with more than 22,000 or so open access journals. Thank you for that. The one question is around impact. Again, Sakile, thanks so much for that. How do you measure the impact of publications published through Diamond Open Access platforms? Specifically, so just research impact, if you want to talk about furthering on to research assessment, but really I think that the question is around research impact. How do you measure it? Anna, do you want to add more to what you had said?
Possibly, yes. I think what I wanted to say is that, you know, it's high time we really look at research impact from a different lenses, because at the moment, we are more into citations, we are more into high impact factor journals, which do not necessarily measure the impact of research beyond the academic domain. So in terms of Diamond Open Access journals, really, we are trying to look into how often an article is being read, how often people are viewing such research, and where technology is allowing. We would want to capture how, you know, research is being used in policy, how people are blocking and commenting on a specific articles in different social platforms. So, but really overall at research performance evaluation level, research impact should be diverting to local relevance of research and impact of research to people who are supposed to benefit from it. Thank you, Jill.
I'm going to ask Reggie specifically if he would contribute to this one.
The one on research impacts, Jill?
Yeah. Yes, please.
Yeah, Jill, I come from the same perspective that Anna does, and that is, as researchers, we want our research to, in the first instance, have a positive impact on our country, on our region. Let me give you a typical example. When Ebola was rife, that research was sitting in America while Africans were dying of Ebola. So you are publishing with Americans on this disease, which was not accessible to Africans. So what is the impact? For the Americans, it was about producing the research. But for the Africans, it was about saving lives. So which is more important, saving lives or having the kind of prestige that goes with your research? And I think that is the fundamental question one needs to ask when one is looking at research impact. I hope I've answered the question in a very indirect way. Thanks, Joe.
Thanks so much. So there's one more question we're going to ask before we wrap up. It is, how do we reconcile individual intellectual ownership with the collective sharing of knowledge and infrastructure? Any of our panelists want to respond to that? I'm gonna go first, and then I'll hand over to our other panelists. So Diamond Open Access means that copyright belongs to the author, and it means especially if the most liberal Creative Commons license is used, that their scholarship can be reshared as long as they are acknowledged. And so that that IP is really with the author, and they can choose to then share it. It can be built on, it can be translated, or even commercialized, as long as they are acknowledged. And if we look at knowledge, it's really, knowledge needs to be shared. It should link to resolving and solving some of the societal issues. It can't be behind a paywall. It can't be it shouldn't be copyrighted, where only it's only accessible to the few. So the individual ownership by retaining your copyright and allowing your scholarship to be reused as freely as possible, in my view, is how knowledge knowledge should be accessible in this way. Any of our other panelists? So before I wrap up, I'm going to respond to a question that has been posed by one of our attendees. They ask a question: how can library consortia be involved in promoting open access publishing? I'm going to answer your question by in a roundabout way, by sharing my last slide, and then I will respond to it in that way. So I'm going to share my last slide in that way. Let me just do this, and then I'll.
Yeah, Jill.
Yes, go for it.
While you are opening up the slides, please also check the QA. There are some questions there.
Yes, for instance, they are asking questions like how regular is training? Is there a calendar or it's a demand? And,
okay.
And then there's a question here: could you advise whether there is specific areas of research that are critical in terms of relevance in publication with APOS? So those are the two questions regarding APOS.
Okay.
One is training,
Okay.
and then one is the critical.
Okay. So I think the training is going to work well with my last slide. Again, the library consortia publishing on APOS, as well as training. It's going to be responded to by my last slide. The one that you asked for was around publishing specific disciplines. So no, there's only one criteria. The big criteria when it comes to publishing on APOS is that you should come from the African continent. You should be an African institution or library consortia. It must be from Africa, so it's our knowledge. And it would be scholarship that emanates from your institution. So if your institution wants to publish on climate change within a specific community, just very similar to what Anna showed. She showed local communities research. Of course, you are welcome to do so. Your institution takes ownership and pride over what is published from your institution. So I'm going to respond to the two questions by my last question, by my last slide, and then I'm going to wrap up and hand over to Stanley. Mine is a call to action. And the call to action is, I had mentioned that APOS is freely available to all African universities and library consortia. Together, we can accelerate our knowledge production for publishing diamond open access. But we need to take control of our own research. And my call to action is both to the university leadership, to the university librarians in the room, and to the librarians. To the university leadership, the call to action is to agree or adopt this alternative publishing strategy of publishing diamond open access to enhance your institution scholarship. and in so doing, bring prestige and pride to your institution. And the call to action to the university librarian is to take ownership of the library as publisher service by implementing the service so that there's maximum support for the editorial teams at your institution. To the librarians who want to be trained, they should, of course, make themselves available to be trained, but then take ownership by supporting the publishing of scholarship from their own institution, as well as neighboring institutions. So that's my wrap up about taking ownership, and it's the different role players who need to take ownership of African scholarship. I'm going to hand over to Stanley. I know we've gone over time, but SPARC Africa has arranged the 2 webinars, and so Stanley is going to talk just for a few minutes about SPARC Africa, and then he is going to end off and then also wish you well. Thank you so much. Thanks, Stanley.
Right. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Jill. Thank you, the speakers. I think it's been a wonderful open access week, personally for me, and particularly also for SPARC Africa. The one on Monday where we were able to bring together speakers from across the globe, sharing their perspectives on the Diamond Open Access and how it's being applied across. And we also had representation from Africa. And then also today, these wonderful presenters sharing their journey to APOS. My name is Stanley Wache Champon. I am the research coordinator at AfLIA, also a member of the SPARC Africa Management Committee. And I'm delighted to take the next few minutes to just talk about and introduce SPARC Africa to you. SPARC Africa is the African affiliate of the Scholarly Publishing and Academic Resources Coalition. And SPARC Africa is a coalition currently operating as a section of AfLIA. We exist for one clear purpose. And that purpose is that through social justice, we're making African knowledge a public good. And that is accessible, visible, and usable by everyone. We believe that knowledge created in Africa should not be hidden behind paywalls or lost in systems that do not serve our communities. Instead, it should fuel education, innovation, and development across the continent. And so we have 3 main priorities at the moment. We are focused on developing training programs to strengthen open access initiatives, such as the creation and management of repositories and open access publishing platforms like the APOS we've been talking about today. We're also all about promoting the adoption and effective use of open source software that supports scholarly communication, and then creating opportunities for members to exchange ideas and share experiences and learn from one another in advancing African scholarship. Behind these efforts is a passionate SPARC Africa Executive Management Committee, and we are growing an active network of knowledge professionals comprising librarians, researchers, publishers, authors, policymakers, and others who share a common vision of open, equitable, and inclusive access to knowledge. Our guiding philosophy aligns with both the UNESCO Open Science Recommendation and the 2024 Toluca Cape Town Declaration, which call for knowledge to be recognized and shared as a public good. Through our partnerships, SPARC Africa has already made some great strides. In 2023, we organized the Library as Publishers Post-Conference Workshop and sponsored 15 African librarians to be trained and to attend the 5th AfLIA Conference and 7th African Library Summit in Accra, Ghana. I think Fatimah and Jill have made reference to this workshop. And then in 2024, with support from our funding partners, we sponsored 20 African delegates from 13 African countries to attend the 2nd Global Summit on Diamond Open Access, which was held in Cape Town in South Africa. And as part of that summit, we hosted the SPARC Africa On Conference, which brought together African delegates to engage and explore the meaning of Diamond Open Access, its relevance in the African context, and pathways for continued collaboration to advance scholarly communication across the continent. Now, one of the exciting outcomes of that conversation is what we are experiencing today or this week, with rich discussions and brilliant insights around this year's OA Week theme, which is Who Owns Our Knowledge? It's inspiring to see what we have achieved so far, but even more exciting to think about what lies ahead. And because the truth is that there's still much more to do. And that's why we are inviting you to be part of this growing movement. There is space for you. Space to join a community of practice that believes in openness and collaboration. Space to volunteer your skills, whether you're a librarian, you're a researcher, you're a publisher, or an advocate. Space for institutions and organizations that are aligned with open access to partner with us and to strengthen our collective impact. Membership in SPARC Africa is open and free for all academic and research professionals and institutions, library and information associations, funding bodies, student organizations, and parastatal institutions across the continent. So expect to hear from us, either through email, by invitations, and calls to action. And when you do hear from us, we hope that you will say yes. Let me share a screen, and then you will be able to contact and reach out to us via these two emails. We are very active and open and responsive. And so whilst you wait for us to reach out to you, we are also expectant that you would reach out to us as well. And together, let's build an African community where knowledge is open, much more visible, and impactful. Thank you very much. I will close the session now, standing on all existing protocols. And I'll just repeat a few of the housekeeping information that was shared earlier by Jill. The session is recorded. And so once we're done with this, we're going to put the recording together, work on it, and have it uploaded. So you would, because we have your information and details, we'll communicate once the recordings are uploaded online, day 1 and day 2. And then again, we'll be sharing resources that our speakers for day 1 and day 2 have shared with us. We'll be circulating that with you all as well. But in the meantime, when we meet again, stay on the alert, because we will be reaching out to you very soon. Thank you so much for today, and have a wonderful, happy Open Access Week 2025. See you. Bye-bye.